Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Kirsten here, and thank you so much for joining me for this new episode of A Better Way with Kirsten podcast. On this podcast, we're talking about chronic sensations, chronic pains, chronic anxiety that you might be dealing with, and I dealt with many years myself as well. And in today's podcast, we're going to talk about why the advice of just sit with your anxiety when you get anxious, why this advice, just sit with your anxiety, doesn't really help you. So we're going to dive into that soon. But before that, what is this podcast about? It is about chronic pain and chronic sensations and overcoming them. And I am sharing everything that I'm sharing here from my own personal experience, from my clients' experiences, and of course, whatever I have learned from other mentors or coaches. I love this topic. I have had a lot of passion for it for a long time, and I really hope that you get a lot out of this podcast. Now, what has been going on recently? I did a fun workshop last Friday, and this workshop, if you were there, you already know, but if you were not there, this workshop was designed to help people with anxiety by expressing the anxiety somatically. So, what it means is that we did several different body movements to get the energy, the anxious energy moving, and then we did some soothing and calming exercises to regulate our system, and it was a lot of fun. I personally truly enjoyed hosting this, and I would love to do this again in the future. And I loved people who showed up for this program. They were there to put in the work. They did the exercises. And I know that if you've never done this type of work, this somatic work before, it can feel kind of awkward at first. It can be like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, why does she want me to stick on my tongue and say, it's just so dumb. But if you start trying these exercises, you give them a go and you try a specific sequence of exercise, you realize that holy cow, this really works. And this is also the feedback that I got from those who participated in this workshop. For example, 2 people told me that their anxiety dropped from 6 to 0 and from 5 to 1. Another person said that she couldn't be on the call to do the work, but she got the call recording and did it later. And she said, I felt calm for several hours afterwards. So this stuff really works. And I absolutely loved doing it because this work is what has helped me personally so much. Like I said, so many things that I share here are not just made up or read somewhere and never practiced. I've done this all. Everything that I share, I've done it all. And I share the things that I have found most valuable. And it's really awesome to hear from others too that, holy crap, I really didn't think that this would work. I have always tried to think my anxiety away or think my anger away or think my sadness away. But it doesn't go anywhere with just thinking, and getting into the body and working somatically will really help. And if you missed this workshop, then I want to tell you about a program that I'm doing very soon, where you're going to learn a lot more how to work with your anxiety, your sadness, your fears, your shame, your anger, how to work with these heavy emotions somatically. And what we're going to have coming up very soon, already starting this Sunday, December 22nd, is something that I call Somatic Soul Work. And Somatic Soul Work is a 4-week live group experience where you learn to process your emotions through somatic experiencing. And the goal is to make you feel better, decrease your anxiety, decrease your pain. And you will go from living with chronic anxiety and always feeling on edge and urgent to feeling grounded and balanced and in less pain through the power of emotional processing and nervous system regulation. And I'm doing this course because the origin of our chronic pain and anxiety is often the fight or flight state. And it's a lot of times the unexpressed emotions that are keeping us stuck in it. And that's why if you have chronic pain and anxiety, you've tried so many treatments, medical interventions, talk therapy, they haven't helped you, then the problem is that your nervous system is in fight or flight state, and it's there chronically. And so my goal with this 4-week live program is to help you get out of that fight or flight activation more times, because right now you are there probably a lot, and I know this feeling so well. And we want to get to this state of calm and presence and what is known as rest and digest state. The calls will always start with an introduction and more like a theoretical part, why we are doing what we're doing, and then we're going to jump into the somatic experiencing just like we did in the free workshop. Now, a little bit more about the program. What is it exactly that is involved in this program? Well, we have live calls, and this is really the biggest value of the program. You're actually going to be there with me, guided by me, doing the work. Like I said, each session starts with an introduction and background of a specific emotion that we're working on that week, and then we move on to the practical part, which is the somatic exercises. And the practical part also involves learning to understand in detail your body's messages that it sends you when it is experiencing a certain emotion. And why is this important? Because when you recognize something, when you recognize, okay, I'm paying attention now and I realize that there's butterflies in my stomach, or there's this like a pulsing pain in my head, or my hands are jittery. What are these signs trying to tell me? And once you catch them and then you address them, this is how you can take yourself out of that fight or flight faster and start working towards your rest and digest state, towards getting into that state. We're going to be exploring many somatic tools and doing somatic exercises on the call. And this is not going to be a silent meditation. This is going to be a movement-based workshop or course. So get ready to move your body. And after somatic expression, you will also learn how to generate a different emotional state. And that will be done by using visualization. Doing that helps you to get back to the rest and digest mode. So it's a combination. We're going to work somatically. We're going to use some visualizations. And the goal is to get you to that rest and digest mode. And the more often you can get there, the better your body will heal from anxiety and these chronic sensations. And of course, there's always time for sharing with others at the end of the call and asking questions. So this is what we're going to do on this call. If you are interested in this program, then you absolutely sign up. We start already on December 22nd, which is this Sunday. And go ahead and go to that link that is in my YouTube description so that you can sign up there. You can also see all the call dates there. And now, if there's any date that doesn't work for you, you can still get the call recording afterwards. I will send it to you. So I really look forward to doing that program with you, and I really hope to see you there. Okay, so let's now talk about this idea of that you just have to sit with your anxiety and that will solve everything. You're going to feel better. But what if this advice hasn't helped you to reduce anxiety? I want to let you know that there's nothing wrong with you if this advice, oh, just sit with your anxiety, hasn't helped you. And let's talk about why is it not working. Well, it is not working because your anxious energy is not sit down and listen energy. It's not. It is actually intense and it wants to move, right? When you are anxious, does it feel natural to you to be still? No. At least for me, I feel strong butterflies in my stomach when I'm anxious. I feel shakiness in my hands when I'm anxious. I feel sometimes little electrical shocks all over my body when I'm anxious. These things don't tell me that you want to sit right now. So when you listen to your body, you actually you realize that I need to move instead. And so now when you start, instead of sitting down, when you start moving a bit more, and that could look like shaking or jumping or bouncing lightly or slapping your face, slapping your body, this is actually the way that anxiety first wants to express itself. And so do that instead. This is my advice. Try it out if you haven't tried that yet. So you're going to do something that is more mobilizing, right? So that you can get that energy discharged from the body. Because if you keep it in, it is almost like emotional suppression. Like I pushed it down, I forced it down because I thought I have to be still and quiet immediately. And I actually didn't discharge this energy from me. So where does this energy then go? Well, it wants to come out somehow. And a lot of times it comes out with stronger anxiety or more back pain or more neck tension or more hip pain or more this and that or the third thing. So my advice would be to first shake it out, move it out, bounce it out, slap, do whatever feels good for you to get the energy moving. And then after that, you will go into more of this calm state that is more like settling, feels like caring, feels more like self-soothing, but it needs to be done after you have discharged this intense energy. And so now the calming and soothing piece could look like something like you're going to wrap your arms around yourself and you can rock from side to side, almost like you are taking care of a baby. You can put your hands on your face. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it. So just slide your hands down like that really gently, right? You can do that. You can put your hand on your heart, listen to your heartbeat. You can do small circles on your chest. You can do small circles on the belly. So something like this that is more soothing and calming after you have experienced that intensity of this anxiety. And this is roughly, but of course it was more detailed, what we did in Friday's workshop as well. And this is what you can also expect. This was just one example of what you can expect in those classes that we're going to do if you choose to sign up for the somatic soul work. So everything is very practical, and we're always starting in a way that we're going to match the energy where we're in right now. So for example, with anxiety, it's intense energy. With anger, also it's intense energy. But with some emotions, you might feel more frozen, and then you don't want to jump right into intense work, intense bouncing and shaking, because this just feels too much. Let's say you have like deep sadness, then you don't want to start like, rushing or like shaking and bouncing and doing that crazy stuff. You're gonna be a little bit more gentle. So you need to really know how to do this stuff in order for them to be effective. But coming back to anxiety, so I talked a little bit about a couple of other emotions, just mentioned them. But anxiety, so if you try to ignore the vibrations and the need to move that's in you, if you try to ignore this thing, you're just gonna get frustrated. And I remember this so well because I had also sometimes tried to take a quick pause to sit down for a minute, right? I was like, okay, I'm feeling anxiety. Now, the step in the right direction was that I actually decided I'm going to do something about it, because in the past I was like, I'm just going to ignore it and keep going anyway. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to listen to it. And I guess I have to sit down and become really calm and settled immediately. So I tried it. I tried to sit down for a minute. I told myself, I'm okay. I even put my hand on my heart while I was doing it because I heard that this is a good thing to do. But it didn't really help. And my brain still seemed to be going super fast, and it still wanted to let me know of all the things that I needed to do that were on my to-do list. And so I was just sitting there trying to think better or try to just be still. And at the same time, I was actually so worried about all the things that are on my to-do list, but I'm not doing right now, as I'm sitting here wasting my time. So if this sounds familiar to you, if you are always rushing around and you're filled with nervous energy, and you realize that it doesn't feel quite normal, but you don't know what to do about it, well, then sitting still may not be helpful for you. And at the same time, you may have chronic pain. Maybe you didn't realize that this is actually related to your anxiety, your sense of urgency, but these two are really, really connected. So for me, when I learned about somatic work, I started really practicing it. And when I started practicing with different exercises, playing around with them, I started to really get relief to my intense emotions too. And it's not that you're not supposed to experience emotions. I will never tell you that, because emotions are so normal. Like feeling sadness, feeling anger is just as normal as feeling the need to go pee. It's just as normal. So don't push it away. You're not going to like, oh, I'm not going to go to the bathroom the whole day. So the same way, don't say that I'm not going to feel anger. This is a problem. Like if you do that, then you are pushing your anger down, and it comes out as a physical symptom oftentimes. So for me, when I started to do these exercises to address my emotions too, I was able to get into a regulated state by starting from the body. Right, I started from the body instead of trying to convince my mind that something, that I should think differently. I got into my body. I I practiced so many of these exercises, and some of them worked really well, and some of them were just like meh. Even if a lot of people like this is the one for me, and I was like, meh, not for me really. You always have to feel like, did it do anything positive? Was it helpful for me? And if the answer is yes, then you're gonna keep that in the toolbox. If the answer is no, you're gonna try something else. And in my program, Somatic Soul Work, that's one of the goals. I want to offer you different ways of working with these emotions and different feelings in your body. And you're going to take the ones that worked best for you, and you don't have to do anything with the other ones. So I want you to put together your own toolbox so you can take out whatever you need in the moment when you need it. And I'm talking about somatic exercises and nervous system work. It doesn't mean that you can fix all the problems or change everything in your life if you just do some chest tapping or ear massage. It's definitely not the case. You still need to face your fears. You need to reduce some of the unhelpful habits, such as people pleasing. You need to work on your confidence. You need to raise your self-worth. So this type of work needs to be done too. But somatic exercise can help you to get immediate relief to your intense emotions and anxiety. And when you do them over time, they build a stronger and more flexible nervous system that can just handle more stress. And sometimes if doing the deeper work is too hard, like it gets too overwhelming and it feels too much, then if you could take some time beforehand and focus on that somatic work, you may find that you actually have more capacity for the other deeper work as well. If you have chronic health problems, then chances are that you experience frequent anxiety, but you also aren't comfortable with your anger, sadness, and other emotions, and that is what causes pain, and this is what somatic work can really help you with. So, in order to help you move forward and help you take the next step towards healing your anxiety and other suppressed emotions and find relief to your chronic sensations too, I have created this program that I call Somatic Soul Work. And like I said, it is a 4-week live small group coaching program that helps you to recognize, express, and process your emotions using mostly somatic practices. And on these live calls that we have together, you'll learn about your nervous system, and you're going to do these practices in real time with me and other people who have signed up. And you'll really end these calls feeling a lot more regulated, and you have these tools that you can use in the future for when something comes up, you can use them, and you're gonna have to use them often. That's the thing. Sometimes I've seen people like, oh, here's the little nervous system hack. There's no such thing. There's no like hack that you just do once or twice and it's done. For me, it has been such like very, very consistent practice. I do it every day, multiple times a day. But some of these things are super simple. Like you don't even have to set aside, time necessarily in order to do them. Like sometimes I could go to drive to the store and I could do like a little neck massage, or I can do humming as I'm driving. Of course, it's not like ideal would be, yes, I'm having like a quiet and still place here and I can do my practices, but you can add in some of them here and there without the most perfect conditions. This is absolutely doable, and you will learn a lot of tools that you can kind of put together, combine your own sequences for anxiety or anger or whatever the emotion is that we're working on that week. Or you can also pick out the exercises that you feel like, okay, this provides me like instantly like so much relief. I want to keep this as like a my quick, or like some kind of button, right, that I press the button and I feel better. So there are many tools that you will learn, and I know you're going to benefit from it a lot. We meet on 4 Sundays in December and January, and you can go ahead and check out the dates when you click the page, the link in my YouTube description, and also it is in my Instagram bio. If you have any questions about somatic soul work, please let me know. I will answer them as quickly as I can. And we already start this Sunday, December 22nd. So let me know if you have any questions. I hope this podcast episode was helpful. Remember, you don't have to force yourself to sit down if you're feeling anxious. You don't have to force yourself to say, no, I'm going to push this down with any emotions at all. You want to express them. And with somatic work, you can really learn how to get relief to very uncomfortable sensations relatively quickly. So thank you so much for being here today. I look forward to seeing you in the program, and I'll see you in the next episode for sure. So take care.